TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls on all right-wing parties to reunite under his leadership for the purpose of forming a viable conservative government. Russia steps up efforts to thwart the re-emergence of the Islamic State in Syria, executing roughly 1,400 airstrikes during the month of March alone. U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price confirms that efforts are underway to see the 2015 nuclear agreement reinvigorated. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called on all right-wing parties to reunite under his leadership for the purpose of forming a viable conservative government which would reflect the will of the people of Israel. In a public statement, Netanyahu argued that the public had clearly voted for a right-wing government under his leadership. Therefore, he urged his rivals to the right of the political aisle, including Yamina chairman Naftali Bennett and New Hope chairman Gideon Sa'ar, to let bygones be bygones and to realign themselves under his leadership.
אני פונה עליכם, נפתלי בנט וגדעון סער. זה לא סוד שהיו בינינו מחלוקות לאורך השנים, אבל ידענו גם להתגבר עליהם ולעבוד יחד לטובת אזרחי ישראל. ואני אומר, בואו נשים את המשקעים האישיים מאחורינו. בואו נקים ממשלת ימין יציבה שתחזיק מעמד לשנים. מדינת ישראל ועתידה הם הדבר החשוב באמת.
Prime Minister Netanyahu went on to warn of the prospects of an unnatural left-wing government emerging unless a right-wing government is formed.
לאחר ההצלחה האדירה שהבאנו עם מיליוני החיסונים, עלינו להזניק את הכלכלה, לבלום את הגרעין האיראני, לחזק את ההתיישבות, לחתום הסכמי שלום נוספים, להביא מיידית מיליוני חיסונים נוספים, כולל חיסונים לילדינו, דבר שיבטיח שלא נחזור למחנק הסגרים. כל ממשלה אחרת שתוקם, ולא ממשלת ימין, תהיה ממשלת שמאל בלתי יציבה, שתוקם באופן ברור, בניגוד ברור ומובהק, לאידיאולוגיה של הרוב העצום שהצביע לליכוד ולשאר מפלגות הימין.
Gideon Sa'ar, once a leading member of Netanyahu's Likud party, immediately responded by rejecting any possibility of realigning himself with the outgoing prime minister. In a statement on his Twitter page, Sa'ar wrote, quote, "On the very day that he and his men are once again spreading false conspiracy theories against me and the president, Netanyahu is turning to me to join him. My answer, I will fulfill my commitment to the voter. I will not join or support the Netanyahu-led government." Sa'ar continued by lambasting the prime minister, writing, quote, "The continued tenure of Netanyahu, who prefers his personal good over the good of the state, harms Israel." It is important to explain that even if Naftali Bennett's Yamina party decides to join a Netanyahu-led government without Gideon Sa'ar's New Hope party, such a coalition remains 2 mandates short from securing the required minimum of 61 seats for a viable government to emerge. Therefore, Netanyahu is reportedly considering the option, for the first time since Israel's founding in 1948, to have the Islamist United Arab List join his coalition, despite the fact that the party is the political wing of the southern branch of the Islamic movement, an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. Turning to Israel's northern neighbor Syria, where Russia is reportedly stepping up efforts to contain remnants of Daesh, the Arabic acronym for the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, over the course of the month of March, Russian jets executed roughly 1,400 airstrikes on Syria's Aleppo, Hama, al-Raqqa triangle, killing over 55 members of the Islamic State. Separately, after tensions escalated in Syria's northwestern Idlib governorate, where the jihadist Tahrir al-Sham clashes near daily with the Syrian military, backed by Iranian proxy militias, Ankara and Moscow are evidently trying to restore calm. In a phone conversation between Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar with his Russian counterpart Sergei Shoigu last Thursday, the two top defense officials agreed to work together to prevent continued violations of a ceasefire brokered by Moscow and Ankara last year from escalating further. Nevertheless, the flare-up continues to gain momentum, with dozens of exchanges of rocket fire reported throughout the week, including this morning. Turning to Moscow, where Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov characterized the relations between Russia and Turkey as rich. In a special session of the Valdai International Discussion Club on the Middle East, Moscow's top diplomat further asserted that despite multiple disagreements with Ankara, the two countries can always find common solutions.
Но российско-турецкие отношения, они в принципе очень насыщенные, богатые, как по контактам на высшем уровне, так и по содержательной повестке дня. У нас очень много совместных проектов, и президент не раз комментировал наши отношения, всегда подчеркиваю, что у нас есть немало вопросов, по которым мы не занимаем единых позиций, порой даже позиции достаточно серьезно разнятся, но мы ценим наши отношения, потому что всегда с турецкими коллегами можем находить решения, которые устраивают нас и их.
Addressing the stalemate in all that relates to the 2015 nuclear agreement, Minister Lavrov revealed that Russia had proposed an informal roadmap aimed at seeing both Iran and the United States return into compliance with the JCPOA, short for the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action.
Вот в том, что касается восстановления СВПД в изначальном, первородном виде, кто сделает первый шаг? Мы предложили такую неформальную дорожную карту, где последовательно, одновременно и Иран, и Соединенные Штаты будут, так сказать, шаг за шагом возвращаться к выполнению своих обязательств. Французские коллеги помогают сформулировать содержание этих шагов, особенно первого шага, который должен запустить процесс восстановления СВПД в полном объеме. Я в детали вдаваться не буду, здесь никаких секретов нет, но тем не менее это переговорная работа, которая сейчас ведется, и лучше на публику конкретику не выносить.
The Russian foreign minister continued by stressing the need to diplomatically resolve all withstanding disputes between Iran, its neighbors, and the West, warning that any other initiative, including the US-backed Middle East Strategic Alliance, which is an Arab military coalition that was forged in May of 2017 with the aim of countering Iran's malign activities, only deepens instability throughout the volatile region.
В рамках этих переговоров, пожалуйста, есть претензии к Ирану, кладите их на стол. Но и Иран положит свои какие-то претензии к своим соседям и к западным странам. Это будет по-честному. И еще раз подчеркну, инклюзивность здесь ключевое слово. Потому что я очень надеюсь, что вот эта вот инерция антииранская, которая прослеживалась на первых порах, она все-таки уступит место здравому смыслу, и что идеи типа создания ближневосточного НАТО, так сказать, ближневосточное MESA, Security Agency или Association, что это все уйдет в прошлое. Мы считаем, что восстановив полностью, без всяких довесков СВПД, можно параллельно начать процесс, о котором мы сейчас с вами разговариваем, процесс по безопасности и сотрудничеству в этом регионе.
Turning to Washington, where U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price confirmed that efforts are underway to see the 2015 nuclear agreement reinvigorated.
We have been clear for a number of weeks now, almost 2 months, I believe it has been, that we are ready to pursue a joint return to compliance with the JCPOA. We have been open that we are talking with our partners in the P5+1 and elsewhere about the best way to achieve this.
Responding to a question on the recently signed agreement between Iran and China, the State Department spokesman said the following.
Our current Iran-related sanctions remain in effect unless and until they are lifted as part of a diplomatic process. we will address any efforts at sanction evasion. Of course, our policy when it comes to sanctions has not changed at the moment. We won't comment on any specific bilateral discussions in this regard, though. Competition, as you know, does define our relationship with China. But we do have, in some cases, rather narrow areas of tactical alignment. We've spoken to some of those in recent days, and it so happens that Iran is one of them. China has been cooperative in efforts to constrain Iran's nuclear program. Of course, China is an original member of the P5+1. Beijing, of course, has no interest in seeing Iran develop a nuclear weapon and the profoundly destabilizing impact that would have in a region upon which China does depend.
Meanwhile, in Tehran, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani reiterated the Islamic Republic's position, which stipulates if the United States recomplies with the JCPOA, Iran would do the same immediately. Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to lift up Ukraine once again in prayer for its salvation and peace, alongside prayers for persecuted brothers and sisters around the world, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. Separately, in light of Easter holiday, TV7 Israel News will halt its daily broadcasts until next week, Tuesday, April 6th. However, TV7's Watchmen Talk and a special Easter edition of Editor's Note will broadcast as scheduled on Saturday and Sunday respectively on our social media platforms. Until then, I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you a blessed Easter, Pesach Sameach and Shabbat Shalom. We will see you again on Tuesday, April 6th at the same time.